I'll take that. Thanks.
Perfect.
But Coach, it's good to see you. This is Nick from the College Heights Herald. You guys are going to be having your last series this coming weekend prior to the conference tournament. So what's the feeling like in the locker room right now?
Well, Nick, I think anytime you get to this point of the season, and we all know this has kind of been it's been an interesting, different season getting to this point. I don't know how many people ever thought we'd get this point, but we've gotten this point, and now you can see light at the tunnel. Well, anytime you've got this point and you're still in position to have opportunity to play for a championship, that's a special opportunity. And I think it's very obvious our guys have an opportunity to play for a championship yet. And as a coach, as a player and fan, that's what you look for, and that's what you hope for. And we're just having to do it on back-to-back nights, and second night will be a senior night. So it's kind of the back-to-back stuff's different. And, senior night on the back-to-back will be interesting. And but again, we're at home, have an opportunity to compete for a championship. So that's a special opportunity.
Hey, Coach, Jared with the Daily News here. I know you just mentioned senior night. I don't think we've really talked about it much this year, but with the extra year of eligibility, that blanket waiver from the NCAA, have there been any discussions or decisions made about, who might or might not be taking advantage of that? And, if this is the last game for some of these seniors, I guess, what are you going to remember them for at Diddle, at least?
Yeah. Jared, your first part of your question about the eligibility part, to be honest with you, haven't talked about it or with any players yet, it's kind of been probably the last thing on our minds. We're getting up this point. It's, are we going to play a game, number one? And who's that opponent going to be, number two? And who are we going to have, number three? Those were always probably the most constant concerns where we've been for most of this season, right there. If we're going to play, who we're going to play, and who we're going to have to play. So that's where our focus has been. And, this other, when the season's over, we'll let smoke clear and we'll all sit down and decide who's best for, and, and is it option for anybody or not option for anybody. So, and back to your last question, what was the last part of your question?
If this is their last time, these seniors or whoever playing at Diddle, I guess, what do you want from them, or what are you going to remember about this group, at home?
Well, again, all you want to see these young men keep being successful. You want to, they put themselves in position to compete for a championship, and you want them, and if it's possible, if it's, is for them to complete what they set out to do. A lot of different memories. You can go back, start with Davion, which memory you want to start with. There's several of them that jumps out with you. The Louisiana Tech game, and one that stands in my mind, was kind of maybe a little different than a lot of people's, that freshman year at Oklahoma State. I don't know if there's been a bigger stage anywhere against a bigger crowd. I know it hadn't been a bigger crowd. That place was sold out, and against a good Oklahoma State team who had just beaten Kansas twice, and Kansas got the Final Four. And see him step up on that stage on that big game to go to New York, that's a game I'll never forget with him. And Carson, you'll just remember his toughness and his effort and the way he's played every game, every position. And he's had to, last year it was a totally challenge differently for him, having to start off one way and slide to the 5 and just basically change everything we were doing, and watch him be successful. And this year, a different way again he's having to play. And he's the one guy this year, I'll keep saying, is probably what we've had to deal with has affected him more than anybody because of his body. The stoppage to starting, not being able to have no consistency in how you work and what you do. His body's not made that way. And then there's Josh Anderson. I mean, again, thing that I remember right now is just how far he's come shooting the basketball. I said this for his first couple of years, look like boomerang coming out there. And, I think now we've gotten to the point, I have confidence in him. You guys, when you shoot it, it's not, oh my anymore. It's, hey, maybe it has a chance. So I see the improvement there. And then which dunk you want to have, you can he's been a highlight reel from that standpoint. The energy that he brings you defensively, and this, and again, I hate it for all these guys. It hadn't been a typical year for us. You all know that. If this had been a normal year, they'd been hanging out of the rafters every night in Diddle. So our players have been, I don't want to say robbed. They just haven't had that opportunity to experience a very special atmosphere that as a player, that's what you live for every night. And Diddle can have one of those kind of atmospheres. So they've kind of, again, robbed, cheated. That ain't the right words, but y'all know what I'm saying. Just haven't had that. And the same with the fans too. Fans hadn't had that opportunity to see us. And, I know the fans enjoyed, and that place was packed too, the atmosphere. So there's Kenny Cooper. Kenny, the thing stands out there a lot was last year, him not being able to get himself eligible. That's when we really, really counting on him last year. And, that was, for whatever reason, that never happened. But, Kenny's a terrific young man. He's positive no matter what happens to him in that game. He's a guy that halfway through the season started coming off the bench for us. He's embraced that role and he's been productive for us. But whatever situation he's had, he's a pleasant young man. He'll be very successful in life because he knows how to handle situations. And like I say, he's a great communicator. He's a great teammate, and I've enjoyed coaching him.
Coach, this is Nick from the Carlos Heights Herald, just to kind of focus on this weekend's matchup now. And it's great to hear you reflect on the seniors. But I was looking at ODU, and they have Malik Curry, who's one of their top scorers this year. So for him and for other shooters, what are y'all's plan of approach this weekend?
Well, Nick, they have all those same three perimeter starters back from last year: Curry, Oliver, and Green. Those guys have been there for the last couple of years, and Curry that leads them in scoring, left-hander, really, really get that ball to the rim. I say good shooter, not great. Oliver is probably their best knockdown shooter, and we all know Green's capable. I have never seen him shoot the ball different though, and he did 2 years ago when he jumped up and made those 3 threes in that championship game down there. I don't know if he's done that very often since, but they got really good perimeter play. Then they've got guys on the inside, Zeke Pay and Reese, experienced guys, tough guys. They bring a transfer off the bench. It was from Kansas State last year. Trice, who leads them in the rebounding off the bench, 6.6 in 20 minutes of play, 9 points a game. And they got another guy guard off the bench in Hunter, who had 17 the last game out against Middle. So I think they've got good balance, good depth. They're playing 8 guys and good rhythm, what they're doing. They're same old team. They're going to play hard, and offensively they're going to try to grind it offensively. They'd rather score in a 60s than the 70s. So we know it's not going to be easy.
Hey, Coach Jared with the Daily News again. Didn't have Josh or Luke, the last couple of games, Luke for the last 3. Are you expecting them to be available this weekend?
Well, I'm not going to say this to throw you guys off because it's just the truth. Not for sure on both now. I can tell you that and be 100% honest when I say it. Just not for sure on both. One of the two, better chance. Both, it's going to be questionable at this point.
This is Nick again from the Herald. I think looking at one of your freshmen, and I know that you just reflected on your seniors, but Davion McKnight has been nothing but an assist machine this year, and he's 3rd in the conference in total assists this year so far. He's really cemented himself as one of those playmakers on the court. So how vital is he not only this weekend, but heading into conference play for this tournament this next couple weeks?
Well, hey Nick, those stats, those are all good stats. And, all those stats are on that piece of paper that Zach gives you all every game and you guys keep up with. You can see those stats. But there's one thing on there, it's not static. It's his greatest ability. and that's his ability to guard that basketball. And that's where it starts at with him. There's not many freshmen that I feel has done a better job guarding the basketball like he has. He's fought those ball screens. In every game we play, everybody's got a good point guard. And you can just go around down the list. Everybody's got one. And he's taking that challenge on every night. He's gotten screened, guarding those ball screens consistently. And he's met most challenges as well as you can hope. And, offensively, he'll continue to get better as this game slows down for him. I think he's a better shooter in his shot. I think he's a better assist turnover guy than he is. I think the game has sped up with him a little bit. And you all know this, it's not always spread out there. We play in big a lot at courts. It's compact a little bit sometimes where people will guard some of our perimeter people. So, I think moving forward is that as we can continue to spread the court a little bit, I think he has great ability to get the ball to the rim. And the biggest thing about him is this: as a coach, you really appreciate this about him. And there's no ups and downs. He's not affected by scoring. Some guys, they ain't getting no shots or scoring points, they don't want to defend. But nothing affects him. He's the same way every day, every possession, every night, game time, practice time. And that you can't teach. And that will win in the long run.
Hey, Coach, Jared again. Since we're reflecting, I'll go to you now. You're at 99 wins at Western Kentucky. I know you're probably more focused on trying to get this division title, but, looking back at now your 5th season here, what would win number 100 mean to you?
Well, I didn't even know that till you said that. I'll just be honest with you. I didn't know it was 99 going to 100. I did not know that. Here's all I know is, and the way if I was ever going to reflect on it is, the first year, I don't even count it. It was just trying to put a team together to get on the court. I look as our first year we had to put a whole new team together with that bunch, didn't we? Dwight and Darius and all that bunch. That bunch going to championship game, ball rolling around the rim. A few guys were there, rolled around with the rim on Josh. And then basically second year, we get beat by Old Dominion championship game, right? It's a 1-possession game. I remember Jared has that 3 to tie it up. Then that'd been last year, we play without Bassey. 5 seconds to go, make a free throw, 1 or 2. We're gonna win a league championship there without him, and never got a chance to compete for the conference championship. So, all the years are different personnel, different people, and that's the one thing. First probably 3 years, there was so much changeover in personnel, just trying to, get it all right. I think we got a little more continuity now, and it'll all start change again with this new transfer portal stuff. Who knows how that's going to go? But my goal is the same every year, guys. Compete for championships. The 99 games or 100 games. I mean, means nothing. The only one that matters to me, if it makes 100, that's great. Is the next game Friday night? That's Old Dominion, and you guys can talk about the 100. I'm gonna talk about the 1, Old Dominion. That's all that matters to me. And it's kind of where it is. And that's just real, guys. That's just real about it.
Coach, Taryn Johnson, WNKY 40 TV. You mentioned last year, with 2 regular season games to go last year, you guys were playing for a conference championship. You come up short on the road at North Texas. And this year you find yourself in the exact same position, playing for a regular season championship. I'm curious, what's the mentality of your team heading into this weekend series, especially those guys that were a part of last year's team and so integral in that shorthanded team you had last year?
Terrence, we don't talk about that part of it a lot. Hey, listen, these guys understand what we're doing here right now. We're fighting in a big picture too. They read probably everything you guys tweet and write about. I don't do it, so you all know it. So don't get too excited. I don't read any of it, don't follow any of it. But players, they're going to follow all this stuff. They know we're having a big scheme of stuff. My approach is still the same. You have a non-conference schedule, you get through that. Then you have a conference schedule. And you start out playing 18 games. Well, we know it's not 18 this year. It's going to be Be 14 for us. Be 14 games. We're down to 2 games. 2 games. Happens to be the same opponent, which is new and different. We just got to take them one at a time. The biggest game of the year is which one, Nick? Which one,
That
Nick?
one more time.
Which game is the biggest game of the year?
The last one.
The next one,
The
Nick.
next one. Okay.
The next one, Nick. You failed there. I gave you an opportunity to step up and
Hey, it's
and
always
get it
game
right.
by game.
You failed badly right there. Biggest game of the year is the next game. And, just so happens, we're competing for championships with the next games. That make them even bigger, but they all count as 1 win and 1 loss. That first game you play in conference is 1 win. And that one against Old Dominion is going to be 1 win. At the end, you count those 14 up. The team that's won the most is going to win a championship. And through 12, our teams put themselves in position to have that opportunity. Nick, I'm disappointed.
Sorry about that.
Anything else, Coach?
I've got one more. This is Jared again with the Daily News. Since I'm living in the past today, about 50 years ago, I believe it would be a week from now, 50 years ago, Western Kentucky started their run to a Final Four, the only one in program history. When you think of that 1970-71 team, I guess what comes to your mind, and, how important do you see that being to the program that you're now in charge of?
Well, that's the one year I can remember. Make sure I'm right on. That's the year they beat Kentucky to get the Final Four. Is that correct? That's the thing that stood out about it then. Outside that, there's a lot of things. I didn't know any of those players personally, but there's no question back then that put, I know West Kentucky was on the map, but I put on a different stage, and whenever you do that, so I think it's very obvious. I think everybody across the country knows even from that. And it's a totally different time from then to now. But I think anybody would say right now that West Kentucky's on a big stage right here, right now. We're on a national scene. We're competitive against anybody in the country. I think anybody in the basketball world would know that and would say that. So, as a coach, as a player, hey, we're not going to win them all. That's just where it is. We're not going to win them all. But I think that, where our program is, just not what we feel about it, what people across the country feel about it. We're on a national stage. We're not an easy out for nobody.
Anything else for Coach?
Good, guys.
All right.
See.
Thanks, Coach.